Hey everyone, Larry Bailey here, Austin Technologies Inc. It is 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. We get together all the time on 4 o'clock as long as it's not some holiday. Hello, Chris. Hello, everybody pouring into the room. Every Tuesday at 4 o'clock, we talk in the mortgage stock community. If you're listening to this on replay, get your butts in here live. You can get it over to mortgage stock community. It's free. Anybody can join, no matter who you work for, where you work, what you're doing. Even if you're not in the mortgage industry, I don't care. It's open. If you want to learn all about what we're doing, feel free to join. February is going to be mortgage community awareness of Encompass stuff. And the reason why I'm doing this, and I chose February, is because it's the month of love, and we all love Encompass. No, it's because I'm going to the Lenders One conference out in LA on March 3rd to 6th. And then we have the big ICE Mortgage Technology Conference in Las Vegas the week of March 17th. I hope if you're going to that, you've signed up for the wrap-up event. We have our space. It's on Thursday the 21st, and it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. local, so I think that's Pacific time. Easy in, easy out. It's 25 minutes, whatever, from the Wynn, and it's 5 minutes to the airport. So stop in. I'll be giving everybody some money for lunch in case you're hungry. But there we go. So how's everybody doing? As a reminder, this is a community event, so you come first. If you want to come up on stage, virtual stage, and ask questions, feel free. There is a chat. Everybody loves to chat. Everybody just likes to see me talk. I don't know why. And for those that are newer to the to what we do here at Mortgage Community, again, it is open to everybody in the industry. So I happen to pick topics because nobody ever tells me to talk about something else. If you ever have a topic you want us to cover, drop me a note, throw it up in the community, and say, hey, let's talk about this stuff. Separately in the community, also. We're doing these recorded discussions. Had a great discussion today with someone that I am sure you know, Elena Gardner from Lodestar. Sorry, from Lodestar. I'm old, so I'm losing my mind. But we had a great discussion today about how to help choose your technology and the pitfalls and the wins and what you do at conferences. Really cool, super discussion. We went through about 35 minutes today, and we'll see about getting that up online maybe next week. So does anyone have any questions while we're getting everyone in? Chris says it's National Encompass Day. So on that note, I don't think it's National Encompass Day, Chris, but for you, every day is Encompass Day. What do you think of that? March 9th, put it on your calendar. We're all going to be, if you have automatic updates in your version settings of admin tools, you will be updated to 24.1.0.0, maybe .1, depending on what they drop in testing environment. And then April 6th is going to be the production environment drop. So, no, they didn't put out release notes as far as I'm going to go check right now because now you got me like, did I miss something? But no, they did not yet, Luba. I know these dates because I'm on the partner advisory board with Awesome Tech Inc. and with Mortgage Workflow Partners with ICE. And I was told it was A-okay to use those dates. It's on their internal calendar. So maybe you heard it here first. That's why coming to these calls is so cool because I hear stuff and I share stuff. So that's important. If you don't already have two versions of your Smart Client Cache or your Smart Client folder on your desktop or in your C drive, make sure you install that so you can simultaneously run your TE and your BE. For those that have custom software that you've built, make sure that you download the new SDKs and other updates on March 9th to coincide with that version. And if you're leveraging third parties for technology, make sure you reach out to your vendors like now and just be like, hey, I heard Larry Bailey said we're getting all new versions here in the next 60 days. How do you come in on those updates? I could tell you ATI rarely has to worry about this stuff because most of what ATI does is API based. It's one of the advantages. So Danielle says, LOL, yeah, how does one do that? Anyone want to show me? I will show you, Danielle. Let's show you right now. So for those that don't know how to run two different versions of Encompass all at the same time, there's a tried and true trick that usually works just fine. If you guys are seeing my screen. So we'll go ahead and get into File Explorer, and we'll come over into my C drive. And you'll see I have Smart Client Cache and Smart Client Cache Copy. So what you'll do, it's hard stuff, Danielle, you ready? Right mouse click, copy. So I have Windows 11, so it looks really stupid. But you're going to click copy, and then you're going to come back over here, and you're going to click paste. And again, paste. So that's all you do. And what will happen is you'll get two different versions. Go into your Smart Client Cache Copy, go into Apps, go into UAC, LMA, go into your hash, Encompass 360, and you'll see down here Encompass. Did I pass it already? There it is. So Encompass, what I do is I either pin to start or add to favorites or put a copy and paste it, like shortcut to my desktop, and then do that as a test. So there you go. All right, let's see. Luba says, does anyone know if there's a newer tool to update the Encompass reporting database? Luba, no idea what you're talking about. A newer tool to update the Encompass. I don't know what a newer tool would be. You go into admin tools and update the reporting database. Maybe you're thinking of, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Maybe you're thinking of not having to use a reporting database. O'Neill McClarty's in the house. Maybe you're thinking, maybe your BI team is thinking of not using reporting database. Maybe they want to use Data Connect, or they want to use APIs to actually push information into your own database. Jody's probably a really good resource. Jody Sims, our resident Power BI database nerd in a good way. I would, yeah, Jody's typing up something. It's probably going to be like that long, and it's probably going to be bulletproof because that's what Jody does. So thanks, Jody, for whatever you're going to add there in a minute. You're welcome, Danielle, for doing that. And Angie says there's a tool that makes it go faster. So Angie, so maybe what we're talking about here is multi-threading. I've talked about multi-threading reporting database a few different times. What you have to do is you have to qualify. I'm making up this qualification on my own because under the following sentence, it's never been denied. You're going to open a case with ICE. You're going to request multi-threading. The reason why you're requesting multi-threading is because it takes longer than 24 hours for your reporting database to update. The reason why this is needed is because the best practice is to make sure that your reporting database is updated overnight outside of business hours. So therefore, if it takes longer than 24 hours, you can't comply with that. And so that's why multi-threading is helpful. I can tell you that, O'Neill, how's multi-threading going for you? O'Neill, we had O'Neill's turned on, and because his reporting database is like, I don't know, 800,000 fields. And Jody's like multi-thread. So, all right, so Jody says data warehouse possibly, ICE for sure wanted to use Data Connect. I believe there's a few other vendors that have data sync much faster than the old data warehouse tool. Oh yeah, I know a company. Awesome Technologies has this thing called Switch. If you want to find out more about it, it's super inexpensive, and it basically will grab any data from any API source and throw it anywhere you want, and it runs lights out. So it can grab everything from Encompass that you want, as well as your POS, your CRM, even your own internal databases. And that product's called Switch. So anyway, if you're listening to this on podcast, you want to see the full video, head over to mortgage.community. That way, there's your cut, Anna. Hey, so we're going to talk about a topic. Who wants to talk about DDM rules versus field triggers? Me. Dynamic data management tools for those that are as old as me. And if you're, by the way, if you didn't notice, I'm wearing my cardigan today. I'm getting really old and cold. But DDM was Encompass at the time. It was Ellie Mae's first stab at server-side business rules. And so when these things, it's important to know this, to understand the context. So DDM was created to basically originally go off of two events: file creation and loan save. And due to a lot of push, an extra trigger was added at the global level, which is field level change. Generally speaking, the problem with field level change in global settings is that every time that field changes, DDMs run. Every time. Now you might say, but Larry, that's what I want, because every time this field changes, I want to use DDM. Candace makes a perfect point. Candace will tell you firsthand, don't use that unless you really need to. And the reality is you don't really need to. I would challenge you and debate you that the only time DDMs should be run is on loan creation or file save. And again, context is everything. So if you're using TPO Connect, field triggers work now. They didn't always work. If you're using Consumer Connect, field triggers work now. They didn't always work. Also, if you're using Encompass on the web, field triggers work. And of course, you know, it's a newer thing, so there is no before. So why do you use DDM? I can tell you that I'm going to show you an environment here in a second that uses DDM quite a bit. And there's use cases for field triggers versus DDM. So quick show of hands, who has 0 DDM rules? Lube has got 0 DDM. Candace loves DDM. Chris has got none. Sean's got none. Okay, cool. So Jolene's got none. So I want you to start with, yeah, John. Yeah, and it's okay to use both, by the way. So my attitude on DDM is there's a couple of easy places to start. One of the easiest places to start is FHA business rules. It's the easiest place. And the reason why it's easy is because you get to use this thing called a table. So I'm going to bring up settings here in a second, and I'm going to explain what this thing is really doing. And hopefully it's going to make sense. And if it doesn't, just put it in the chat that doesn't make sense. And if you want to talk through it, I'll invite you up and you can come on. So over here in DDM, let's use field rules. 69. And I don't know if your eyes were popping out of your head, but yeah, O'Neill's like, yikes. Trust me, I'm like, yikes. I got to manage this thing. And so you can see some of these guys are old, right? 2019, 2023, right? So these are not like set it and forget it always. 2018, that's probably one of the earliest ones I've ever seen. Now, this was brought in when this Encompass was provisioned, which is why it was created by admin, I'm guessing. But yeah, basically, John, this environment's about 5 years old, a little bit longer. And the reason why this was created is because the genius behind these DDM rules loves to make sure that specific tables are being used. Okay. So in Encompass, in your environment, if you go to your data tables, you'll have these system tables. Everything else up here, and I'm not going to open these up because this is like private stuff, but everything else that's on here is a table of data that's referencing, and I'll show you what it looks like. But when you go through, you can start with this. And basically, when you go in to do DDM rule, one of the easiest things to start with is MI tables. Now, two different kinds of rules in DDM. You get your fee rules and you get your field rules. And you can see, guys, the distinction, right? Fee rules are specific to the itemization. And what's really nice about this is if I wanted to have a scenario running for line 801C, which is the processing fee on the itemization, you can build different scenarios that run in order, top to bottom, just like milestone templates, top to bottom if they're active and if the condition is true. And if this condition is true and the scenario is effective, the values of 801C become available to you. And this is the power of DDM for fee rules. If you have ever tried to write a field trigger for itemization, stop. Like, just stop. It is an unreliable way to do it. It's never going to work for a pop-out, which are all of these fields. It's never going to work for that. It might work for 1621, maybe, reliably, because that's the same field on the non-popped out versus the pop-out. But what you can see in here is this is referencing the table. And this is the beauty of DDM. When DDM first came out, it was, hey, system admin, don't worry about writing all that big block of code. Just go create an Excel sheet and load the Excel sheet into the DDM, and voila, you can use field rules or fee rules to call in the table of data to put that information into your Encompass file. For those that have third-party tech that allows you to take a spreadsheet and put it into something like a batch updater, there's a bunch of third-party companies that have this thing. Same methodology, right? You're telling something to run lights out based upon either loan creation, loan save, or field trigger change or field change, and all that looks good. The downside is these tables only give you 8 output columns. So when you go through and you build your own user-defined table, I'll just call it as a test so I can delete it later. And let's just say I'm going to go through and update field 4. You only get to update 8 other columns. So this is part of the reason why in this environment there's 69 rules, because some of these rules have multiple tables that they're referencing because there's only 8. This is one of the biggest bummers about the DDM table functionality native to Encompass. With other batch update software, third-party tech, you can go through and build something as wide as 200 columns or more if you needed to. That's not what this is about. This is about, I have a specific scenario and I want to update these outputs based upon, in my case, I said term. All right, any questions so far? I'm watching the chat. I don't see anything. Kevin just identified how many rules. So when you're thinking about field triggers, you might be thinking about changing multiple fields in there, right? So if we come over back to our tried and true business rule or tried and true field trigger, and we come in and create a new field trigger, we can update multiple fields with different values based upon a single thing. So you're like, why would I ever do it this way? And the reality is you can do this, but then you'd have to build a different set of conditions to use the same activator. That's what makes it different. So Luba says, can the fee rule do a calculation so it's 1% of the loan amount? Yes, you can. Just like in here, you can do it as a field calc change. So when you come back over in the fee rules, again, I'll go into here. When you go into the values, you can pick a value, and your choices are specific value table, calculation, or clear it. So Luba, in your case, you can do your custom field calc here. So you want to combine field IDs, you want to do math, like Kevin just dropped some type of math ceiling on loan 2. I'm guessing that's a rounding up of something or other, some kind of fee. I don't know what you're doing there, but for transfer tax. Thanks, Kevin. So there's a field calc that Kevin's done that. So yeah, that's where you would do it. And of course you click your validation here. So that's pretty cool. So the whole thing for me, when I'm talking of difference between DDM and field, usually it's scary. People are unsure about DDM. Here's the global DDM settings to review. Again, you can't uncheck this. DDMs are always going to run when loan is created or saved. As a reminder, if you didn't know this, it was an update later last year in Encompass. In the admin tools, you can require DDMs to be run before you have any disclosure events. So initial disclosures, change, or closing docs. The reason why that functionality was created and is at your disposal is because if you've got rules that are supposed to run, but they're not saving, right? They go type, right? These are our users, right? These are our team members. They do a whole bunch of information. They never click save, and then they click order docs. Happens all the time. So that means that your DDMs won't fire. So in admin, if you're worried about that, in admin tools, you can enable DDMs to run before any disclosure event. Keep that in mind. Luba says, so if it runs on save, is it running all of them where their criteria is met? So this segues me right into the differences between triggers and DDMs. Triggers run on action. Right now, if you have a plugin that says on loans, if a tool out there, if you save the file, it'll treat that save, that virtual event save, as a real field ID, and you can use that real field ID for certain actions. All you're doing is recreating DDMs. So Luba, it is running all of the fee rules and field rules when you have DDMs enabled. Always, yes. Every save, yes. And ICE is continuing to work on the performance improvements on that, which is why, I don't know this, I'm just stating this as an obvious statement. These rules have to get over to the web. Workflow Engine is going to be absorbing these eventually, which would be my expectation. ICE's goal is to have everything on the web that exists in desktop by the end of this year. That would, for me, include for DDM. So we'll see how that goes. Luba says, I'm asking because we have a problem with blend loans triggering the field trigger rules. I don't know what blend's action is taking that causes fields to be triggered. But if you're saying that you only want your users to trigger something and not blend, I'd have to understand that better to give you better. Oh, it's not triggering it. Yes, blend is not triggering. And so if the user comes in and clicks save, yes. If blend's final action is to commit the loan, meaning to save the loan, then yes, DDMs should run. Same thing with any third-party integration. If you're running anything that opens the file and saves the file, DDMs are supposed to run. That was how I started the conversation of this. OB doesn't trigger things either. Possibly, I've seen OB work with the OB's custom field, the cx.ob time field, I think is what it is. Candace, that could be a possible solution. Angela says, I thought that the loan saved at the time of e-disclosures and DDM runs at save, but an additional setting is needed. Where again is that? So Angela, I want you to go to admin tools, and I want you to go to policies, and I want you to go down, look for run, I think it says run DDM before disclosures. I'm probably getting that label wrong. If somebody else has admin tools, it'll take me too long to get it up. But if you can't find it, let me know in the community, Angela. But yeah, it's there. It's there. Just read through it. It's in the release notes. Read through the help so you understand exactly what you're agreeing to, and test it, and then see if you want to keep it. Kirsten says, yes, we have this issue with newly created loans, DDM issue. Oh, great. So Kirsten's saying, go use DDM. Kirsten, was that for blend or OB? What were you responding to, please? Rodolfo says you can use field trigger from blend integration to form to basic field trigger. Oh, there's a blend integration form? Fancy. Kristen says we had that issue with files coming over from Simple Nexus. Yeah, so listen, this is, Simple Nexus, Blend, blah, 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 any other third party, even TPO Connect and Consumer Connect, guys, these are latch-ons to the Encompass environment. There's only one Encompass loan file, right? And so that's in here, and DDM is meant to say at the server side, hey, if there's a save event, I want you to run. Now, when are DDMs not supposed to run? I want to end on this because, again, this is very important because this goes unsaid with field triggers because field triggers are action reaction. DDM will run until you tell it to stop. So just like you don't want a DDM to run too early, you also don't want a DDM to overstay its stay. Meaning, if you have DDM set up for appraisal fees, but you want your processors to be able to update the appraisal fee based upon the quote that they just got, then you need to make sure that you address that, not in the global setting, but in the fee rule. Katie, I'm not sure what always make a custom field means, but let's say if I had one in here for appraisal, which I don't here. I don't even know what the appraisal fee line is. So let's go down and look for appraisal right there, 804. So if I come over and do this, oh, thank you, Kevin. Validate all system rules prior to ordering docs. Bottom of the list and policies and admin tools. Kevin, thank you. You're an ace. Oh, Katie says, oh, that. So Katie's ahead of me. So Katie said, create a custom field as your stop condition, which is totally fine. So meaning that if the custom field has a value of whatever, the stop condition will run. That's up here in the rule settings. So you can do after initial LE is sent, and or you can also do when the condition is met. So in Katie's case, she creates a custom field, and then I'm guessing, Katie, either manually or through field trigger rules, you update that custom field to be whatever you want so you can kill your DDM. Pretty clever. So Sean's like an override, flipping it the other way. So Sean is thinking every fee should have like a custom override field. I use that for appraisals, pre-disclosure, Sean. So like if a manager needs to override a fee, yes, I'll create an override. Here, Kevin's like an ace today. Everybody shout out to Kevin. Thumbs up, Kevin. Thank you, bud. So Kevin put in the chat. And again, if you're listening on podcast, get over to mortgage.community. We'll make sure we put all this stuff in the follow-up. Keep the comments coming, gang. So Kirsten says we keep a custom fields where the closers can finalize their fees, which stops the DDM. Love it, love it, love it. Rodolfo says same as doing a custom field that just points to today to get today's date. So every day the loan is opened, you can use the trigger. Sure. Chris Lawrence gives a big thumbs up. Using today, open close parentheses as a performance hit. Check it out. And by the way, gang, like we've been saying, DDM runs, right? So if you're not taking performance measurements yourself, start right now. Like literally keep a log, or have somebody, if you have worker bees, have somebody keep a log for you for login times, open times, save times, close times, and you should keep a log on that, like best practice, especially if you're encountering or uncovering or using new technology, especially third-party technology. You want to make sure you keep an eye on how your technology is affecting your Encompass performance. Luba, so how do you transition to DDM? Let's say we have appraisal, field trigger rule, and then create DDM rules to turn it. Yeah, you would do both, Luba. So how you transition is look at your field trigger rule that you have set up for your appraisal fee. What I would want you to do is go build a table, right? Go build a data table for your appraisal fee, and then go build a fee rule for line 804, and then build it in just like anything else. Make sure that if the condition of Luba's test field equals yes, you know, that means that this DDM rule will run, and that means that you can go see what the effect is. So yeah, a lot of testing. Katie said it. Candace said that there's a resource center has a study guide. Candace, if you don't mind pointing that when we post a replay here, if you don't mind pointing that in the comments, we would love you for that. Let's see, what else we got on here? Jody says we found that we could use DMDDM.x1 instead of today. Oh, that's pretty cool. Check out Jody's hot tip of using DMDDM.x1. Katie gives thumbs up on the guide. And O'Neill says, I found that to be handy, Jody. Using the DDM.x1. Where's that field? I don't even know where that is. Is that just a field behind the scenes? I've never seen that field before. I'm going to have to look that up. It's hiding. Well, let's put it out in the open. Why are we hiding? All right, gang. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And super healthy conversation today about DDMs. It's a timestamp for DDM last update. Thanks, O'Neill. There you go. So DDM.x1 is the timestamp, and that is instead of using today, that's a way you can tell that the file got saved. I'll have to check that out more. I wonder what some other applications that could be. Hot dates every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Join us. We got a bunch of things coming up. Check in the community for the next 3 topics coming up. Anybody's going to be in LA or near LA for the Lenders One conference, March 3rd to 6th. I'll be there. Maybe we'll meet. And at the ICE conference, booth 520 for us. If you guys are at other booths, I know Lodestar's at booth 313 because, again, I talked to Elena today. So go see Lodestar. They'll tell you to see us, and we'll all see each other hopefully at the conference. If you're not going to make it, I understand, but make sure you join the ICE 24 experience space here in the community, and we will keep you updated as much as possible. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the very least. We'll see you next Tuesday. Take care, everybody. Great conversation today. Thank you. Super fun.